Hi and welcome to Morbid History, my comrades in conspiracy. Today we ask ourselves, were ancient gods actually aliens? And what on earth, or beyond, are those strange Japanese figurines actually wearing? Time for a cosmic ramble through history's weirdest conspiracies. Remember, the truth is out there, or at least a lot of the questions are. Let's get into it.
Morbid History.
The Anunnaki, gold mining overlords. First stop on our extraterrestrial journey takes us to ancient Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians wrote about gods known as the Anunnaki. But some people say that these gods weren't just any deities. They were intergalactic miners with an obsession for gold. According to ancient astronaut theorists, the Anunnaki came from a distant planet, possibly the mythical planet Nibiru, that is apparently stationed at the very edge of our solar system. It actually takes 3,600 years for it to orbit our sun, if it does exist, I mean. They didn't just stop by for a casual visit, though. They came because they needed gold to repair their planet's atmosphere. Rather than doing all that backbreaking work by themselves, it could be pretty warm and sweaty. They decided to be clever and genetically engineer some humans as a workforce to do it for them. Sumerian tablets tell of these Anunnaki as huge, large figures who not only gave humans instructions on how to dig these precious metals, but also language and culture. But the gold was the most important part, of course. So, the legends of the Anunnaki still inspire many late-night TV specials to this day, and it leaves us with the question, were these just regular old boring gods, or were they actually ancient alien gold-obsessed overlords who like to engineer our DNA? Jump into that little rabbit hole if you like, I promise it won't hurt. And yeah, next! The Dogon tribe and the mystery of Sirius B. Our next tale takes us to West Africa and the Dogon tribe of Mali. These people have a cultural history that has fascinated and confused researchers for centuries. The Dogon tells stories of the Nomos, fish-like beings who visited them from the Sirius star system. These beings supposedly descended from the sky, bringing knowledge, wisdom, and proper headaches for many a future scientists, as already stated. What makes this entire story and conspiracy strange is the Dogon's knowledge of the Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible to the naked eye. How could they see it? It wasn't actually even discovered before the 1800s. Yet, the Dogon have for centuries described Sirius B's existence, its orbit, its density with uncanny accuracy. So how did an isolated group of people know so much about a distant faint star that needs advanced technology to even observe? Well, easy. The Dogon says that the Nomos told them. And let's just get into that. What were the Nomos? Strange alien fish creatures, which many sources have described as ugly, rude. They had like a humanoid upper torso, legs and feet, fish-like lower torso, and a tail. Either way. At the end of the day, maybe these intergalactical fishmen did come back from the Sirius star system to Earth to share knowledge very long ago that then was passed down through generations. Strange, but moving on. The Dogon has given us one of history's most perplexing star-crossed mysteries. A rabbit hole for you. Next one! The Tuli papyrus. UFOs over Egypt. And now let's hop on to ancient Egypt, a place not entirely devoid of weird alien conspiracy theories. There's plenty of them, but today we're talking about the Tuli papyrus, which introduces a rather fiery celestial mystery. This document, allegedly found by the Vatican Museum director Alberto Tuli in the early 20th century, it supposedly contains a translation of an ancient Egyptian text, hieroglyphs, describing some kind of circles of fire appearing in the sky during the reign of Pharaoh, I'm gonna butcher this name, Thutmose III around 1480 BC. According to this translated text, these fiery discs were moving across the skies, growing in numbers until they filled the entire heavens. They were glowing with some strange light, and Egyptian scribes were so rattled by the whole thing that they wrote down everything in meticulous detail. Could this have been something easily digestible, like some kind of meteor shower? Ancient alien theorists suggest no. They see these descriptions as very early sightings of UFOs, a celestial traffic jam of sorts over the Nile. Unfortunately, the original Tuli papyrus has mysteriously gone missing, leaving only partial translations and endless speculation in its place. To believers, it's quite obvious that ancient Egypt was like some kind of UFO hotspot, a landing pad for intergalactic tourists. And to skeptics, it's just a lost manuscript, a weird translation of a weird story that's just too strange to even verify. Either way, another rabbit hole for you. Now, next one. Japanese dogu figurines, little aliens. We're going around the world in this video. Now we're heading to Japan, where we find peculiar artifacts known as the dogu figurines that date back as far as the 14,000 BC. And they have big round heads, bug-like eyes, and what looks suspiciously like goggles and spacesuits. The dogu then. They are small clay figurines, and their exaggerated features is what really gets the conspiracy theorists excited, really gets them going. According to some, the dogu were inspired by real-life alien visitation, beings from the stars, if you will, and they would have imparted some wisdom, technology, or at the very least, fashion tips. So the theory goes that these alien beings visited Japan thousands of years ago, and that the people there then created these dogu figurines as some kind of tribute to this encounter. A good of a theory as any. Of course, skeptics argue that these are just artistic representations of either humans or some spiritual figures, some gods maybe. But why then these giant goggles and snazzy helmets? Whether you see a space traveler or just a very cool figurine, the dogu remain a fascinating piece of Japanese history and a rabbit hole for you to jump into. Next one! Mayan civilization and Pakal, the astronaut king. And now we're heading to Mesoamerica, where Mayan civilization left behind the intricate sarcophagus of King Pakal the Great, who ruled in the 1600s. Fast forward to 1952, when his tomb was unearthed and archaeologists discovered something that instantly sent imaginations into hyperdrive. The lid of Pakal's sarcophagus is covered in carved imagery that seems to depict the king in a very peculiar position, reclining on his back, surrounded by what appears to be controls and levers, machinery, and even his feet are resting what looks suspiciously like a pedal. Ancient alien theorists interpret Pakal's position as evidence that he's sitting in some kind of spacecraft, drifting through the cosmos. They argue that the ancient Mayans were either visited by these extraterrestrial people who taught Pakal and others how to build some kind of spacecraft, like giving technology to the people, or perhaps that Pakal, the great king, was even some kind of alien himself. Why not? Skeptics and scholars then argue that the carvings are just symbolic representations of Pakal's journey into the afterlife, the great beyond, featuring some kind of familiar Mayan iconography like the World Tree. But since that's no fun, let's embrace the Delulu and ask ourselves, was he just another boring king, or was he aiming for the stars in his weird little flying machine? So yeah, another rabbit hole for you. Let's get on to the next one. Nazca lines, a landing strip for the gods. Yes, this is actually the next day. Time was running away from me, and yeah, let's just ignore that I look completely different. Moving on.
Let's go!
Nazca lines. Yes, we're jetting off to Peru, where the Nazca lines stretch across 64 kilometers or 200 square miles of desert, showing massive, huge designs of animals, plants, and just random geometric shapes that can only be like fully appreciated and seen from the sky. The most puzzling question here though is, how did they actually make them? Like these patterns and animals and all that in great detail without actually seeing it from above. Ancient alien theorists have a hunch. The Nazca lines weren't just art, they were landing strips for alien visitors. They argue that the Nazca lines are actually just like giant signs for safe landing spots. And that in turn would suggest that these people in olden timey Peru had contact with these advanced beings from the cosmos, who then in turn would have inspired them or even instructed them on how to create these interstellar runways. While some other people just say that they were ceremonial, or like they would make them as tributes to the gods who would be upstairs, of course, looking down on them, and that they would make them by standing on higher ground, such as mountains or hills. So of course we're left here again with our burning questions. Were they just highly skilled artists with a penchant for making giant doodles on the ground for some reason or another, or were they actually preparing a cosmic welcome mat? Rabbit hole, you, yay! Next one! Greek gods. Aliens all along. Next up, Ancient Greece, a civilization brimming with mythological drama and all-powerful deities. The Greeks did tell stories of very strange gods who mingled with mortals, coming from the heavens, doing a little razzle-dazzle, and just bewitching the people of Greece with their extreme power and strange allure. And that brings us to this theory, that these gods were actually aliens, dropping influence on human affairs in exchange for a bit of admiration. Zeus, Athena, Apollo, many of these gods exhibit very ungodly-like behaviors. Like, well, if you've ever read any Greek mythology, yeah. But what if they weren't gods at all? Perhaps they were aliens mistaken for these deities, just giving the Greeks knowledge, which seems to be a running theme here. Take Apollo, for example. He arrives down on Earth with his razzle and his dazzle in a flying chariot and wielding powers beyond human comprehension. So it's not a long jump for the ancient alien theorists to propose that he, among all the other gods, were actually members of an advanced species, just coming down to cause havoc. This isn't a theory that only goes to the ancient Greek gods, though. As a whole, it believes that most gods and deities were actually aliens who came down to Earth. And the humans just decided that they're gods instead, which is, makes sense, actually. But, yeah, take that rabbit hole, it is yours. Moving on to the next one. The Sacsayhuamán walls in Peru. Stones from the stars. Another gem from Peru. Did some aliens build a wall there? So, let's get into this. The Sacsayhuamán walls, these massive stone blocks stacked atop of each other and next to each other, well, they're so massive that you can't even slip a piece of paper between them. How did the ancient Incas create such a flawless structure without the necessary tools? That is what ancient alien theorists ask themselves about many buildings, but today it's the wall. Also, the stones weigh up to 200 tons each, so there's that. Theorists suggest that the tools needed to carve and move and place these giant stone blocks had to be done with alien technology. Some spaceships that can move the blocks like styrofoam or something. Why not? Archaeologists, well, they say that the Incas just had developed such a great construction method, sophisticated and all, but of course skeptics and believers alike agree there is definitely something going on. And who are we to judge? So there's another rabbit hole for you. Now we're moving on to the last one. Vimanas, chariots of the gods. And now the grand finale. We're going to India, ancient India, and they have some old-timey Hindu texts. And these texts, there's talk about some strange flying machines known as the Vimanas. And yeah, they sound very high-tech indeed. These machines, these vehicles up in the sky, were said to be of several layers and able to fly, of course, and even engage in battle. All this thousands of years before the Wright brothers even had a little inkling of flight. Because they were not born yet, not even close. So, of course, theorists think that these are just not mythological flying machines in some spiritual sense or whatever. No, they are spacecrafts. It doesn't help that some descriptions mention things as Mercury engines and force fields, terms that very much go to the sci-fi side of things. And all this ends with the last question, of course. Did ancient India have some intergalactic friends flying above? Or was this just some metaphorical flying machines? Whatever side you choose to believe in, I'll just say, seems fun to think that in ancient times we just had a full-on traffic like an autobahn for aliens in our skies. So that was today's little ramble. Hope you found some fun rabbit holes to dive into. Like, comment and subscribe. It's great for the algorithm and it really helps the channel. And once again, a giant thanks to my lovely, lovely members, my Patreon members and my YouTube members. I have a Patreon and a membership here on YouTube where I post exclusive videos once a week and sometimes other things. So yeah, and it's thanks to my supporters that I'm even able to make these videos because I'm a sick leave at home little hermit and I couldn't even afford the editing software and stuff like that if it wasn't for you. So giant thanks. It means so much. Either way, stay amazing, stay hydrated, most of all, stay morbid, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.